My beautiful wife, Natasha, arrived here in the United States just over 5 years ago. And her interview for citizenship is coming up. It's called the N400 interview. We've been studying the U.S. Constitution, system of law, all of that stuff for months now, months. And I've had a lot of fun explaining it to her, and she's had a lot of fun learning about it. I told her about what had been going on in the Kyle Rittenhouse case. And then earlier this afternoon, I got the news that you've probably gotten by now. So she was in the kitchen. I went in there and I said, there's a verdict in on the Kyle Rittenhouse case, and she didn't look very happy. And she's got plenty of reason to not look very happy. And I said, not guilty on all counts. And she leapt into the air and threw her arms around my neck and started kissing me. And she said, the Constitution is still alive. Yes, honey, it is. You know, sometimes you have to go to the newest Americans to get the best take on what America really is. I cannot tell you how painful it is to sit there and talk about things like presumption of innocence, checks and balances, Supreme Court, 3 different branches of government, separation of powers, all of this stuff. Representatives of the people, we the people, life, liberty, pursuit, and happiness, First Amendment, all of it, all of it, all of it, Second Amendment, all of it. And have to, for the last 4 or 5 months that we've been studying, and for the last 5 years since she's been here, for me to constantly have to refer to this in the past tense. Yeah, you're innocent until proven guilty, unless, of course, the media declares that you're guilty, and in which case you're stuck. She saw what happened to Kavanaugh. Now, this obviously is not a big insight, but it wasn't Kyle Rittenhouse that was on trial here. It was something much, much, much bigger than that. See, Kyle Rittenhouse is not just a white guy. He's a Boy Scout. He is the center of what American culture is. And the reason I can say that is not because he walks around with an AR-15, but during his interrogation, which was one of the most shameful things I've ever seen, there came a point where the prosecutor said, so, you just went over there, huh? There was a fire and you just took it on yourself to just go over there. You by yourself, you're not a fireman, you're not trained, you're not anything. You just took it on yourself to go over to this fire and help put it out. What made you think that you had any business going over there to put out this fire? And Kyle looked at him and said, because it's a fire? That's the kind of guy that makes this country what it is. And so here's the stack that we just defeated. You've got a white guy defending his life. You've got a white guy using force to defend his life instead of trying to bow and scrape his way out of it. You've got a white guy using firearm to save his life. Now we get into big jumps. You get a white guy using the AR-15, the most evil of all firearms, to defend his life. And finally, you get a guy who's using an AR-15 to defend his life against the legalized street mobs of Antifa and, to some degree, Black Lives Matter. And all of these things stacked up meant that this kid had to be destroyed. He had to be destroyed because all of these things have to go. All of them. You have to continue to allow Antifa and Black Lives Matter to not only burn things down, but beat people up with impunity, kill people. How many people were killed during the riots? The Floyd riots, was it 24 or something? 1 police officer? The country burns. Okay, great. That has to go. The ability to defend yourself using a firearm has to go, especially an AR-15. That's why Kyle was on trial. He was on trial because our right to self-defense was on trial. This is all it was, and that was all it was. It was a defense, not just of the Second Amendment, but a defense of the fundamental human right to defend your life. That's it. That's all. That's all it was. And if you want to know why the press lied so much, why the prosecution was so selective with its evidence, why they did all of the evil things, this is even clearer than the evil things they did to Kavanaugh, to Justice Kavanaugh. Because this one was the fundamental issue. Do you, as a citizen, have a right to defend your own life? Yes or no? Because if the answer is yes, That means that that person is more important than the state, that person's more important than the media, that person's more important than the political circus that's going around, all of it. If he is allowed to defend his life as an individual American, regardless of the means, he could have used harsh language, it doesn't matter. He could have used a rock, pointy stick, doesn't matter. If he has the right to defend himself, he's a citizen. If he's a citizen, he has rights that protect him. And if he has rights that protect him, then this machine of oppression and government tyranny that they've been rolling out since the sneak attack on November 4th is powerless over him. Powerless. On the other hand, of course, if he'd been found guilty, that would be a signal to not only to the people on the left, but to the people on the right as well, that any street mob that wanders down the street, smashing people, killing people, burning people in their houses or in their cars, whatever, there will be no consequences for that whatsoever. And anybody who tries to do the job that the police have been prevented from doing by these left-wing, lying, evil hypocrites who nevertheless live behind their own gated communities and have their own private security forces. If he'd been found guilty, then we would have our answer. We would know that the mob rules in America. But it doesn't. Not today. Everywhere I look, I see the defenses against the sneak attack onslaught stiffening. And this isn't just stopping them. This is holding the line and turning them back. This is a win of monumental importance. And it's the second part of something that we can never forget, no matter how filled with despair we are, no matter how obvious the cheating, no matter all the ideas of Facebook saying you can't post anything in support of Kyle Rittenhouse, GoFundMe, no, you can't raise money for this guy. All of it, they had the whole machine in action, all of it, all the guns firing, and they still couldn't do it. Justice still prevailed. So, two parts, I said, that you could keep in mind during these awful, awful times. What we saw just a few weeks ago in Virginia means that it is still possible to win an election, no matter how badly rigged the system is, no matter how corrupt it is still possible for Republicans to win an election if the turnout is large enough to exceed the measure of cheating, which I think is a very significant measure. So we had an election where the entire national media was focused on Virginia, and we won. The system, corrupted as it is, nevertheless, still functioned. And now we have a system where all of these mouthpieces of evil were all the way in on this. It's a fundamental issue for them. You can't defend your own life. You can't have guns to defend your own life. This could not be allowed. We have to destroy this kid. Okay, well, guess what? The presumption of innocence still held. The court system still delivered justice. The Constitution is still alive.